Hey y'all. So I'm glad to be back on YouTube. It's been a while. A lot of things been going on, and just haven't really had time to record. I know it's been a few months. I think my last video was The Long Walk or Carrie, one of those two, but two Stephen King movies. But now I'm back, right? And I've really been wanting to work on this video because it has really been 10 years since Ryan Coogler's technically first big feature length film, Creed, released in theaters. And I haven't really seen too many people talking about that, and it's kind of annoying to me because like Creed is really fucking good. Like I don't understand, I understand if there's people who have issues with the film who think it might have been a little contrived or whatever, but I honestly think Creed is a fantastic movie. I mean, I love the way it's shot. I love the way it's acted. I love the look. I love the fact that they decided to still film the movie in Philly, and it just is just such a great film to me. I remember when it was first coming out and I saw the trailer and I saw Creed and I saw Stallone and I begged my mom. I was like, yo, I have to go see Creed. Like, we have to go see Creed. And she was like, okay, fine, we'll go see Creed. And I was just as happy coming out of the theater as I was going in. And that's something that I will never forget. Me being so excited. I had a girlfriend at the time. I didn't take her with me. I went with my mom to see Creed, and she was happy. She was like, "Oh, you realize?" I was like, "Yeah, this movie is fire. It was so awesome." The final fight still lives in my head to this day because I watch Creed whenever I get the chance. And I just want to say, Creed is literally one of my favorite movies. It just something about it. It just feels so natural. It feels well, in my opinion. I feel like it's better written than Rocky. And Rocky's a well written film, right? I just think there are things that they took from Rocky, making it a legacy movie. So it had that feeling of certain aspects from Rocky that take place, and but they made it different, and they made the character different. Like Adonis doesn't feel like a cardboard cutout of Rocky, for example, right? And Rocky isn't the main character going back into the ring like he did in Rocky Balboa, kind of like Pete Maverick and Top Gun Maverick. See, Creed felt like its own movie that could stand on its own, but it is in the Rocky universe, and it is technically a spiritual successor more so to Rocky 4 than Rocky 1. But Creed is still more of a legacy sequel to Rocky 1, just in the events that take place. So for me, I like the fact that Donnie is a little bit more damaged than Rocky in points of his mom died young. He never really got to be in his father's life because his dad died right before he was born, which would put Donnie at like 29, 30 in Creed 1. Um, and we see the fact that like that has an effect on him. He ends up in a group home. We see that he was just in a home for kids that didn't have parents, it seemed like, but he could box already young. He had some instances. We see that him getting older, Marianne Creed, I believe I think the actress who played Marianne Creed died before they started filming Creed. So I think that's why Felicia Rashad ended up replacing her. And she takes him in, she raises him, loves him like her own. You see what he comes up to become. He seems to become a successful dude, seems to have a really good job, but he likes to box. That seems to be his secret passion that no one knows about. So he goes out there, he fights little underground fights, gets some hits in, gets some wins in. For a self-trained boxer, he isn't bad. And he seems to be like trying to get into the ring and trying to get into the spotlight of boxing, but nobody wants to because of the quote unquote Creed curse after Apollo dies in 4. Long story behold, he kind of dips off and goes to Philly because he's got the money apparently, based off of whatever job he does. Goes to Philly, wants to train in Philly, meets up with Rocky, which, in my opinion, is a really great introduction scene to both of them meeting each other because it seemed like Rocky didn't know about Donnie, and they have a kind of calls him Unc. Rocky's clearly the old guy in the movie, when he's like, it's up in the cloud, like iCloud, and he's like, I don't see no clouds. It's like Rocky's old, but it's just a great movie, right? I love the way he meets Bianca. I think that's a really great scene. I don't know if that apartment building that they're in is in the city. It could be, and I could be wrong, and maybe I just don't know where it is directly. Um, I will say I did love the fact that Tessa Thompson was Bianca. I think that's a great idea. This thing, I just love Tessa Thompson, so anything with her, I'm willing to give a chance. Um, Having her try to be Philly, it just it just didn't work. You know, it seems she's like, oh, you want to like flex your Johns, and it's like, it didn't work. It just didn't work. I'm from Philly, so you know what I'm saying. I say it all the time. I'm from Philly. I'm born and raised here, so it just to me seeing her try to be Philly, and she says it's like I'm glad they pulled back on that as fast as they could. The fact that they really filmed at Max's is crazy. Like I love the fact the movie's really shot in Philly. Like you know he's really doing workouts on the Schuylkill. They really filmed that scene with him and Bianca at Max's. He's actually running through the Italian market just like Rocky does. He's in the middle of Philly just running around, exercising, training. It's literally like one of my favorite things about Creed is that I got to see Rocky and I got to see what Philly looked like in the 70s. And I get to see what Philly looks like in 2015 with another character, but Rocky's still here. It just felt so good, right? The scenes, it captures that spirit of Rocky in the sense of he's working to get somewhere and he's training hard to get somewhere. He is clearly trying to make a name for himself, just like Rocky did. But I wouldn't consider Donnie an underdog only because Donnie had a little bit more of a luxurious lifestyle growing up for a little bit than Rocky ever did. It seemed like Rocky always kind of grew up in the slums and kind of had to break thumbs for money, whereas Donnie didn't have to do that, right? So that's what makes them different. I like that there's something that makes them different, right? And obviously, if we're going to go off of fighting, Donnie is a better fighter than Rocky. Rocky was a brawler, Donnie was a boxer. There's a difference here. I just love the fact that they used Rocky the best way they could have used Rocky. It was making him a mentor to a dead friend's kid and embracing him as a creed and loving him. I think that was the best route you could take for Rocky. I know some people will complain that they just made Rocky broken again after Adrian died, like what happened, I believe, in Balboa. And I don't think so. I mean, most people never really get over the death of the person they love, even if something triumphant like Rocky Balboa does happen. And I think Paulie's supposed to be dead now, so it's literally just Rocky. Everyone from Rocky One is dead. You know, he's alone. And I don't think there was anything wrong with the writing in that regard. Putting him with Donnie kind of gave him a new lease on life. You know, he finds out he has cancer, and it's like, hey, we could help you and put you under the treatments. He doesn't want to do that because it didn't work for Adrian. Beautiful, understandable writing. My wife went through that. It didn't work out too well. I think I'm good. Then Donnie gives him that lease on life. Like, if you don't stop fighting, I won't stop fighting. And it seems like at the end of Rocky One, the cancer is cancer free a little bit. I love that little middle section of Creed. It is just so dynamic, right? It's just such a dynamic little situation. I do think Bianca has a little less to do in the first one, which is nothing. There's nothing wrong. They seem to really not have Bianca do a lot. You know, she's trying to start music. She's a little known by people. Nothing wrong with that. I do love the way he finds his Adrian, kind of like Rocky does, but he doesn't in the same sense that he doesn't know her at all. So like Rocky and Adrian kind of knew each other for a little bit beforehand. You know, like I said, it's a legacy movie, so there's a lot of comparisons. This is where the movie does kind of fade a little bit when it comes to like, hey, you know, his motivations don't seem to be super clear. Maybe his motivations is he just wants to box, and that's a fine motivation, you know. And I know some people will say there isn't any. He just wants to punch people, which I think is stupid. I think it's the stupidest way you could diminish a character. I've heard it before, believe it or not. I just think Donnie wanted to do what he was secretly passionate about, which was boxing. How many people have dropped something they've done to go be a UFC fighter at like 31? You'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? But they do it, you know? So, and Rocky brings that up. Rocky says beautifully, hey, look, you seem like a smart kid. You seem well spoken. You seem like you got your life ahead of you. Why do you want to go into boxing at this age? And it makes a lot of sense why Rocky, of all people, would be concerned about that. So there, the writing in Creed is there. You know what I mean? Like the writing's there, the character development, the character flaws, the character building, it's there. The world building, continuing from what we already have from 5, 6 movies beforehand, is still there as well. I am very happy to see that Creed spawned a series for itself. It was nice that it could stand on its own in a way where Creed 2 didn't feel like Creed 1 was a different ending, but Creed 2 was different all around, which I will talk about eventually. I enjoyed Creed. I think it's a great film, and I got to go into the rival of the movie. Unfortunately, Ricky Conlon isn't a great rival because we only see him for like two scenes, then him and Donnie fight at the end. I will say the fight in Creed, I love that final fight. That this is where the legacy thing comes in, right? Because Donnie ends up fighting the champion. He does better than everyone expects, and he kind of wins the night, which is pretty much what Rocky does in Rocky One. I love the fact that they play the same music from Rocky One and Creed at the last second. And I love the fact that when he knocks Colin down, the same thing said about Colin was the same thing said about Apollo when Rocky drops him in the first one. And it says the first time he's been on the canvas. So there's a lot of similarities and legacy things thrown in there to kind of hit the mark on this is a legacy film. And it's so cool to be like, yo, so Donnie dropped the champion first time, Rocky dropped the champion in the first fight, and it's the first time they've been knocked down. I think that's insane for a boxer's first time to be knocked down, but it can, I guess it can happen. I don't think I've ever seen Flint Mayweather get dropped. I could be wrong. But it is cool. Then there's like the workout montages are just as great as they are in Rocky. They inspire you to want to get in the gym. It does what it needs to do. Now, does Conlon win ultimately with decision? Yeah, because Conlon was in Donnie's ass the whole fight. Like I don't think there was ever a time where Donnie really kind of took control of the fight. But I think that was the whole point, is that he's fighting an experienced champion. He isn't. He's gonna take a beating, but he's gonna give the beating back, right? And it without measure, Donnie gains the respect, and Conlon even says, "Yo, you're the future of the division." Which, damn, okay, you know, makes you really just look at that whole situation happily. You just look at it and you're just so excited about what could come next behind that. Creed was a monumental film for me. Like when it first came out, I was like, man, does it get any better than this? It doesn't. I think Creed One I think Creed 1 is the best of the Creed movies, but the other two are also really good. And I think Creed 2 kind of gets a little too much hate. I will talk about that at some point. And Creed 3 is a solid movie. So I think I'll be talking about the other two Creeds at some point. But all in all, Creed has the right amount of everything that you kind of need from a legacy sequel or a spiritual successor to another movie in the franchise. And I think it does it well. I don't think a lot of legacy sequels, like I said, Top Gun Maverick is a great legacy movie for one thing. Great legacy sequel, does what it needs to do, just like Creed 1. Those are probably my golden standard for legacy movies. But I do like Creed a little more, even though Top Gun Maverick is phenomenal. And I will do Top Gun Maverick at some point too. So yeah, I would definitely say the final scene when they go up the Rocky Steps, because it had to happen, right? Like I said, this is a legacy movie. So them going up the steps and enjoying just the view of Philly, seeing it, Stallone's little, I think they added more steps here. Hilarious. Hilarious. So I'm 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 glad I like this movie. I'm glad I liked it. I still love it 10 years later. If you haven't seen Creed, that's insane. You should definitely see Creed. And I definitely say if you didn't enjoy it the first time, I definitely say rewatch it with a different perspective. It's a really good movie. So, if you guys really enjoyed this, I'm going to sign off now. But if you guys really enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more. I'll see y'all on the next one.